So let's get started. So hello, welcome. My name is Jonathan Hand, and thank you very much for joining us on this session here today. My role at Autodesk is that I manage the AEC community, and our mission within community is to connect our global customer community to share knowledge, ideas, and inspiration, and how to build an inclusive and accessible space for all. We're here today to discuss how we can drive balance in the BIM and digital build fields. This event is brought to you today by a collaboration between us here in the Autodesk community and the Autodesk Research Community, who have recently partnered this year with Women in BIM as part of their All Voices Heard campaign. The Autodesk Research Community welcomes customers from all backgrounds and levels of expertise to participate in the research opportunities throughout the year. Customers are invited to provide feedback and insights to Autodesk, product managers, designers, researchers, help develop the products and tools that we use every day to influence the industry, technology, capabilities of tomorrow. The Research Community and Women in BIM All Voices Heard partnership aims to drive diversity, inclusion, and balanced customer representation to proactively ensure that female voices are heard to improve better research, business, and industry outcome. This is a topic that means a lot to me personally as well as professionally. A significant part of my life is my 4- and 2-year-old daughters, and being a part of their life, their experiences and challenges profoundly affects me. Parenthood often fosters empathy, and I've become more attuned to their future because I want to grow up in a compassionate and empathetic environment. Parents are role models for their children, and by advocating for diversity and inclusion, I want to set a positive example for my daughters, teaching them the essential values of fairness, equity, and respect for all. So this wouldn't be an Autodesk event without a safe harbor statement. So I just want to remind you that we ask for a safe harbor during this presentation, acknowledging that through the panel discussion, we may make statements regarding future events, development efforts for our product and services, and you should make your buying decisions based on the present state of the Autodesk software and services. So with that little bit out of the way, let's have a quick overview of the collaboration that has brought this event to you today. As I mentioned, I work in the Autodesk community, and our goal is to become the de facto design and make community for our audiences worldwide by connecting customers to each other and our brand through listening, engaging in relevant, empowering, and insightful conversations. The Autodesk Research Community is a partnership in this event today, and the research is vital to Autodesk's drive for innovation and discovery. This helps us to deliver industry and global solutions. Here you can share your own voice, your insights and experiences with Autodesk product managers, designers, researchers to help influence the tools, the products, and the services being deployed and improved. It allows you to gain an exclusive insight into what the team is working on in line with the product roadmap and how you can contribute to the industry-leading digital innovation. It also allows you to connect with your peers in the member hub and see how your participation can impact the future of BIM for your career, business, and industry. For over a decade now, Women in BIM have been supporting women in the construction and digital build industry for skills, education, and career progression. Today, with members across 50 countries, the organization successfully empowers women in making game-changing contributions to the digital deployment of the built environment. There are no fees for women to become a full member, and benefits include global collaboration opportunities, training, mentoring, event support, reports, paper and news from Women in BIM members. Both gender minorities and men are welcome to sign up to be a Women in BIM ally to work together and drive positive change within the industry. So with the blurb and the introductions out of the way, I'm so excited and happy to be joined by 3 amazing panelists today. Firstly, I want to introduce to you Argelia, who is the Regional Design Technology Manager at Gensler, where her role covers the Northwest region of the US and Canada. She's over 20 years experience in architecture, engineering, and the construction field. She has participated as an exam writer for Autodesk's very own Revit certified professional exam and has authored 2 books on building information modeling. Argelia is currently the Associate Director for AIA San Francisco Board of Directors and the Regional Lead for the global organization Women in BIM. Next, I'm joined by Thompson, who is the president of Nox Innovations. They provide virtual design and construction services for contractors, helping customers through modeling, coordination, and fabrication. Nox has witnessed a steady increase in female interest and hiring over the past 8 years. The company aims to help move the industry forward by cultivating interest and providing equal opportunities for women to pursue successful careers in the BIM industry. And finally, I'm joined by Shir, who is the product manager at Symetri. She specializes in BIM implementation and dynamo automation. Shir leads the design and development of new commands for features for the Navigate product line. And Shir has previously worked as a BIM manager at architectural and structural engineering firms. She's also a certified Scrum product owner. And last year, Shir organized Beyond One Gender, the Power of Diversity and Inclusion at Autodesk University. And this was recognized as the top-rated panel in the Best of the AU Awards. She holds a Bachelor of Architecture degree from the Pratt Institute. So we're going to, just before we start the panel, launch a very quick poll for the audience here. And what we would like to ask is, how do you stay up to date with the latest developments in BIM and related technologies in the built environment? So this is a multiple choice question, and you can choose all the answers that apply. So we will take a quick minute just for you to give your feedback in where you keep up to date with all the latest technology. You can see it's quite a broad spectrum. People are coming from all the different options. It's quite evenly split. Just nearly getting to hopefully most people participating, and then we can move on to the panel discussion. Yes, so we're reaching nearly capacity. So I think it's time that we move on to the panel discussion and we get in to the nuts and bolts. What I will do is just stop sharing my screen and we can get in just to seeing the panelists on camera. So without further ado, let's hear from our amazing panelists. And Shir, if I can start with you, I'd like to ask sort of what drives you to advocate for equity and inclusivity in BIM and the digital BIM fields?
Thanks, Jonathan. I always think about, kind of the history of our industry and where we came from, and not just of our industry, but women in general, over the last few decades since, being able to join the workforce, being able to get higher education, we have come leaps and bounds, where at this point, women are essentially outpacing men in terms of bachelor's degree. But yet, when we see or even just think about architects, engineers, construction, we are still picturing men in hard hats working on field, on site, that iconic picture of the black and white picture of the men sitting on the steel beam eating lunch is the first thing that most people come to mind. And that really is the past. And we're here to talk about the future. And the digital age of our industry is transforming what we think about the AEC industry. And I want to help change that perspective so that we can be more inclusive, get the best of minds of everybody out there, and not limit ourselves to what people see of this industry.
Awesome. I guess the key thing there would be to see a change in the picture. Let's hope we can.
We'll have to change that picture.
Let's change the picture. And I guess if I can sort of ask you as well, Argelia, what is your main motivations to advocate for this whole movement?
Yeah, so one of my main motivations is to have the option of a fair offering of opportunities and also of professional growth, and to be able to contribute to the industry. Like, there's many branches within our industry, and what we specialize on is of equal importance. So having that impact in the profession and sharing the knowledge, be an example to everyone out there, and trailblazers, right? Just create your own opportunities in a way if they don't come to you as well. So that's my big motivation.
Awesome. And I guess, Aaron, could you give me some insight into where you get your motivation for all this work?
Yeah, thanks. And similar to you, I mean, first off, besides it being the right thing to do, I would say, like you said, I am surrounded by highly skilled women in my personal and work life. I've got a daughter in nursing school and one that is forensic science majors. And so, and here in work, we need people. We need to attract people into this industry. And, I look at just Phoenix, Arizona, the census is 51% female, yet it's a resource pool that we do not tap into very much, as Shir alluded to, in the construction industry on those. And so we've got to change that. And we can talk about it and be upset about it, or we can do something about it. And so, here at Nox, we want to do something different about that.
Okay. You talk about obviously change, and I want to discuss a little bit about key challenges that need to be addressed to support that. So, Shir, if I could go back to you, where do you see the key challenges that need to be addressed to support inclusion?
So I think one of the big ones is definitely like the fact that representation matters, and we need to be able to see women in leadership roles. And according to some statistics, that only about 16% of leadership or C-suite roles are held by women in our industry, which is still a crazy low number in my perspective. And I know personally, just when I was coming out of school, and there was really nobody that I could see or look up to, or there were very few. And that really affected me. Like, I thought that being in leadership positions, owning my own company, being a CEO or a CTO or any C-suite position was near an impossible feat. And I didn't have any role models that I thought, well, if they did it, then I could do it. But now that I've kind of began to expand my network, I mean, I can see the possibilities, and that has obviously led me to strive for those higher things, because I see that they're possible. And without that, other women coming into this industry, the next generation, we need to show them that these things are possible and they can achieve all of their goals and be equal to anybody out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. So if visibility is one aspect, Argelia, what other key challenges do you think that we have to support inclusion?
There are, for example, Shir mentioned many of them, but being one of the very first to start on this path, like you said, there was nobody leading in that branch. So we kind of carved our own path. We learned on our own. And now that we see another generation of professionals emerging and doing the same things that we're doing, we recognize that they might see us as a role model or something to aim for. They know there's this opportunity for other options within our industry. And so being involved in your professional community and organizations, that being, for example, I'm in the American Institute of Architects, I'm one of the directors there, has opened up so many other possibilities, because you bring what you know to them, and then in return, you take back. You're still linked very much to the design world of it. And also schools, right? There's this whole other world where people are starting to learn and come into the profession. How can we as professionals bring something back as hands-on experience to the schools? Because that's the way they know what's going on outside in the workforce. That's the way they know what is trending, how the profession is evolving, because some of these curriculums might be out of date. It could be because they don't have input from professionals, or it could be because of monetary issues, right? Some schools depend on bonds, others don't. So there's many different reasons why. And if the students see us and what we do, it really helps with those challenges. And also, like I said, getting involved in professional organizations is just a way to expand your network just so much more in making a difference.
Yeah, and I guess that sorry, Shir, go on.
Sorry, I just wanted to add to that because another organization, which obviously has brought us all here, is Women in BIM. And, I joined their mentorship program, and mentorship is a big part of helping others in the industry, women, other minorities. And so, I just look at that and think that it's a great way to connect with people that you don't know yet, people who are looking to help you. If that's what you're seeking, or if you're seeking to mentor somebody else, you can also join the program. And it's a great way to get involved with other like-minded individuals who are trying to grow in this new digital industry.
Yeah, and Aaron, I guess I know you've discussed at length before about visibility issues for women in leadership. Could you give me your take on the key challenges that you see to support inclusion as well?
Yeah, I think it's frustrating because I see in the construction, as men, we want to assume the delicate and this fragile and women coming into that role, and that's just not true. I mean, we as here in the company, we've got our fabrication shop is 50% women. They're in a job out there that they can't perform as well, and in many cases better than the men, including myself. The patience level is much higher. And in our virtual construction side, 2 of our 3 project managers are female, and they didn't have a construction background coming in. And so, they come in, know they're facing a challenge. They know they're facing a male dominant environment that they're going to come in, and these are very strong the women that have risen into those roles. They're not in those roles because I was trying to meet some quota and gave somebody a position that didn't earn getting there. I give them full props, right? They're in that position because they outperformed. They are very good at what they do. And it's important for me that when we're going off to universities and we're going and doing recruiting, they're involved with that, right? They're out there because, I do feel like other women, when they're coming in, it's comforting to them to know that there's others that have faced those challenges and have gone through there and have succeeded into those roles, and they can look to for how do you deal with these situations, because the problem that we're facing is not going to change overnight, right? They're going to face this and until frankly, the females aren't the problem in the industry. It's us as guys changing our mindset on that, and I'm seeing a big change in that happening. So we've got to continue to put those leaders out there driving that forefront for us and in those leadership roles, as Shir said.
Yeah, I think it all totally makes sense. So obviously we've sort of looked at the key challenges, and I want to sort of move the conversation a little bit to look at what role can individuals and organizations play in driving change. So now I just want to go back to you because I know, can you describe what sort of Nox are trying to do from a positive side of things to increase diversity?
What we're trying to do to increase that?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, we're trying to get in front of those individuals. Our greatest resource of talent is coming from our current workforce, right? And it's got to be changing the culture. It's got to be changing who you are, that fosters an environment that attracts other people to do that. We're not out there chasing we're not chasing the construction worker that's male dominated market to try to bring them into BIM. We've changed that mindset and how we're creating this training program and doing that. But if you don't change the culture as a whole, the current female employees here are not going to go get their friends and bring others into it. that has to be changed. We've got to change everything that we're doing. And so we push very heavily here at Nox, and I make it very public what my goal is to be, by the time I retire, I want 50% of this company to be female employed. My position, more than likely by the leaders that I currently have, will be filled by a female. And so one of my vice president roles. And so those are some of the things that we're doing. And it's I'm very open and public to talk about that.
Yeah,
I think they need to know, people need to know that opportunities are there.
Yeah, I think that's amazing to see and hear that you've got that insight and that drive to change. Argelia, I know Women in BIM's mission is to support and nurture women and challenge inequality. Could you give me some details of what initiatives and activities you do as a group to support this?
Yes, so Women in BIM is a big organization. We are in over 50 countries and over 2,000 members. And because of that, there's regional leads throughout the world. And I'm regional lead for Western North America. So what we do is, for example, in our North America group, we do a monthly meeting in which we change the theme. We invite everyone who's part of Women in BIM to come and join. And these talks happen in other regions too. They might not be the same ones. They might be in person, virtual. They switch, right? I've done in person as well. And aside from that, which are good opportunities to talk about, compare roles, compare responsibilities, compare how they relate to one another, industry standards implementation. There's also the mentorship program that Shir mentioned. And that is a whole process in which people who want to be mentored answer a series of questions, and they are then paired with somebody who matches the interest of the mentees. So they are paired very carefully, and it can all depend. It can be gender pairing, it can be location, it can be interest, it can be the industry. In some cases, we had people who wanted an industry completely different than theirs, just to see what it is like. So, and other times, we had somebody, a woman who wanted a man as a mentor, just to see from their perspective as a man, how can they go into the field and see how they can feel in those same shoes, because she felt that she was at a disadvantage because it was mostly men at her work and she was the only woman. So we see cases like those too. And we also have an exchange knowledge, with other bright minds. There's training that's being offered. There's a partnership with sponsors. For example, Autodesk offers access to their community research, and also to videos, which vary from free to paid, discounts on conferences as well. And another one is, for example, ID8. They provide a free license for a year, I believe, and also discounts to global e-training. So there's many, many perks, and the memberships are free. So that there's a membership for women, and there's also a membership for allies. So if you are a man who wants to participate and support this group, you can also have that membership. It's completely free. There's podcasts. So there's a lot of resources out there that we offer as Women in BIM.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got so much. And so, yeah, I encourage everyone to jump in and get involved. Shir, if I could finish the point, I know you're a huge advocate and an ally in the workplace and in community. How are you sort of trying to drive change in your own way?
Well, I think it also, like, to Aaron's point of what he's saying, like, as him being an ally within his organization, especially from the leadership perspective, that is really important to help foster, that community within your own organization. So when we, Microdesk, now Symetri, when we first became part of Symetri, I remember attending a leadership meeting. And when I walked into that meeting, it was about 30 people, to no shock to anybody really, because it's just, I'm used to experiencing it at this point, that I was like one of two other women. So there were only 3 women there out of 30 people. Just an observation at this point, nothing more. And I usually don't expect anyone to say anything, but to my surprise, in this meeting, they talked about the goals for the year. And one of the CEO stood up and said, our goal, if you even look at this room, is diversity, and we're lacking in it, and we need to change it. And when hearing that, it validated everything that I wanted from this organization and helped me to be that voice and know that my organization was going to back me up. And they give me the resources, the space, and the time, like being on part of this panel, to speak about these issues and help others within my organization. So we also had a mentorship program that, you know, was within our organization to help, you know, everybody within it, but specifically it has helped me to know that I have a backing.
Yeah, that's excellent, and I can echo them sentiments, as I used to work at Symetri. Argelia, I want to move it on a little bit and discuss a little bit about your background, because I know you have taught at various universities and colleges. So I wanted to sort of look at what impact can be made at higher institutions, and could you talk a little bit about the importance of digital skills when it comes to equity and BIM for the next generation?
Yes, and I mentioned a little bit of this in the previous question, where we can bring a lot of hands-on experience from the workplace into the classroom, and with that bring advancements to the curriculum. Because I've taught at 3 different universities, and each one of them was completely different in the way in which they taught technology and skills. One of them had a full-on, I created a curriculum with them, partnered with them and other industry professionals to create a curriculum in which the students would come out prepared. They could take the certified exam or Autodesk, prepared to go work. And this was a public institution. Then I worked at some private ones too, in which one of them has eliminated some of these technology classes altogether because they don't feel the importance of it. Other ones have do offer it, but it's very minimal, just 1 semester, and that's it. And that's not enough, right? We have to be able to show how these tools are used, because there's a lot of collaboration that happens. And so in the workplace, that has to be brought into the classroom. So it's collaboration with tools as well. And some of the institutions lack input from the industry, while others lack the monetary funds. So the issue might be different for each of them. So if we collaborate with them, I think it will make it easier for us, because the tools, for example, Autodesk, they're free for students, right? So that is not an issue there. The issue might be some students might not have access to a laptop while others do. I know some schools provide a laptop for all their students equally the same. So it really varies drastically from one to the other. But the more we are involved, the more we can identify those gaps and be able to assist.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I sort of want to open it out to sort of all 3 of you and talk about what about the upskilling and future skills for those already in the industry, and how do you recommend people keeping up to date with technology updates, improvements, the industry innovations, and key trends? So if I can go to you, Argelia, to continue your point, and how do we upskill those already in the industry?
Yes, so upskilling those already in the industry, that is a combination of the organizations, the companies that they work at should have an internal professional development program in which these people are put up to speed at a proficient level, I would say, not necessarily expert, but something that makes them be able to competently work. Because when you come as an emerging professional and you have all these other design skills, but you cannot perform the work, right? You cannot do it because you cannot use the tools, then that puts a bump on the road. So that is one of them. And within the corporation, having some sort of setup where these people, and the budget too, right? Because the companies have to build the budget to invest the time in the people to upskill them. Now, outside of that, there's also other companies, Symetri, for example, right? That you can provide those services as well. So there's also other companies that we can go to, and they can do the basic training, and they come back and they do the more intensive company-focused one. going to conferences, that helps a lot too. You will see what other people are doing and not be just in your own bubble, because if you're just in your own bubble working there, you don't know what's happening outside of your world, right? So you're not exposed to it, and also exchanging knowledge with other industry people. That is super important, is what I feel.
Yeah, thank you. And moving to Aaron, what are you seeing about the upskilling and future skills about those already in your industry then?
Yeah, one of the things that we're doing to combat that is really providing an LMS, a learning management system. So we've got individuals on staff. Their job is to keep up to date with the latest software updates. Part of being on the Autodesk development dev team that they're on, they know what's coming and going and being involved with the conferences, but it's providing education, so we bring individuals in that have no BIM experience. And so we teach them from beginning all the way through. It's a 3.5 month process, depending on how quickly they learn, that they learn to be modelers, right? Whether we have individuals that came in from interior design backgrounds, you name it, all sources. They have good computer skills, and so we'll bring them in, teach them the BIM, and then to continue educate is to provide in that LMS paths to leadership, time management courses that are on there, communication stuff, just all the things that we need as individuals to be better leaders and to learn our skill. And so it's continually giving the education courses for them on that they can take at their own pace, their own time. If they're struggling with something, they can get back on and review, which takes a lot of time to create that system. But we've got to invest back into the employees to give them a path to continue to grow and to get better.
Yeah, definitely. You have to invest. Shir, you work obviously in product development of an ever-changing, fast-paced world. How do you recommend people keep up to date with technology updates and innovations and trends?
Yeah. So I want to take it from a different perspective, because Aaron and Argelia, you guys talked a lot about the organization, but on another end, from like what individuals can do. And that is, I would always recommend to find, because technology is ever changing everywhere. And it can be extremely overwhelming to try to learn everything about all the new technology coming out every day, which is impossible, if you ask me. So find what you're passionate about, the niche within the industry, and that could be sustainability, it could be product development, it could be design automation. Whatever that is, that's what you're passionate about, and that's what you're going to strive to learn more about, and be your own advocate. So always know that upskilling yourself provides not you with benefits, but your organization will benefit from that. They will have somebody with more skills, with more knowledge, who can do things better than others around them, and can teach others around them as well. So be your own advocate, find what you love to do, and have your organization pay for the courses and provide you with the time to learn it, whether that's just a day or two to take one course, or even have them help with paying for a master's degree if your organization allows that. But always, it doesn't hurt to ask. I'm always a advocate of the worst thing they could say is no.
Yeah, if you don't ask, you don't get. That's sort of my methodology as well. I want to look a little bit about digital innovation, Argelia, and look at how you see digital innovation impacting diversity and equity in BIM in the digital build fields. What are the challenges and opportunities for women regarding digital skills?
Yes, I am going to talk a little bit about my experience versus what it is now, because when I started, there was nobody very few people doing it. So when I started, I didn't feel that I was at a disadvantage. I was one of the very first ones to start on this path, like I said, about 15 years ago. So there was no guidance. I learned a lot on my own passion. That's how I became an expert, really. And then eventually I started teaching it. So I became even better, because when you teach, you just embed all of that more into your brain. So I took advantage of opportunities that came my way. In some cases, those opportunities opened up other doors. So you never know what's going to come to you. It's really, it's really strange how things work, that you might not be planning on a specific path, but an opportunity just opens other doors. And go to the challenge, I would say, if there's and I mean challenge in a good way, like if you are wanting to go into the BIM or the digital world, but you have a fear of leaving what you're doing right now, just go for it. You can always go back to do what you're doing currently. Go for it, try it. If it doesn't work out, fine, but at least you tried. And just leave the fear aside. It's about just slamming the door shut and going for it. There might be challenges as far as right now that it has evolved more. Yes, we see more men in it and less women, but just know that at the beginning it was about equal. I don't know. And it's the way it's presented. I believe that people have this preconceived notion that maybe it's more for men, and not as much for women, but there's so much. I mean, I personally am a person who loves numbers and design and technical things. So this was perfect for me. So also promote yourself. The challenge right now that I see too is maybe you're not being promoted, or as I say here, to your own horn, that you, for example, if you're going to be participating in something, just announce it to bring people in. Because if you wait for someone to push that in and announce it for you, it might not happen. So just do it yourself, and it'll make you feel more and more comfortable. So it's about breaking the barriers of fear and what's out there. I see as the challenge, because if you don't see that as much, you don't see yourself represented, right? It might feel like a challenge to you, but it really is not. If you are passionate about it, you're going to shine. That's for sure.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I know, Aaron, you guys are doing some innovative things around access to digital skills. Could you explain a little bit more about what you guys are trying to do at Nox?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, as I alluded to with the education part of it, is really to provide people that don't have the construction background. I think we've talked on, as we've talked on other calls, that, most people are pulling resources from the field, that thinking you have to have field experience coming into that. And when that happens, we see that, most of these companies have a lot of the male people in the BIM department, but we are seeing, as we've opened that up and reached out to different technical design type education background, gaming, different things, that because we've created the software, our team has done that it allows people that have computer skills, women, to come in, learn the same exact skill, and perform and do the exact same thing. They don't have to have a construction. I think it's really important as they come into that, as we speak to it, and I say we as an organization, as a whole industry, you don't have to come through the construction trade, right? Find companies that have it, because we're not the only one. There's a lot of good companies out there that have created training and fostered that. And so it's something that we'll continue to do, and to provide that environment that allows people of all skills and abilities to come in and learn trade. It's one of the things that we hold really important value as an organization, that there are hundreds of people that have come in and learned this skill, whether they work for us or not anymore. But they've learned a skill that they're able to provide a good living in the construction industry that otherwise they never thought they would be in.
Yeah, that makes total sense. We are getting towards, and I want to get to some quite great questions that have come in. So this is going to be the final question for you, and I want to sort of talk about gender stereotypes in a little bit more detail. And this is an open question to the three, so feel free to jump in. How are gender stereotypes affecting your work experience, and how can the construction sector as a whole overcome these gender stereotypes and actually change the face of construction? So
I can go first.
Yeah, Shir, I was just about to Shir. You can jump in, because I know you'd be keen.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aaron made a point earlier that change is slow moving, right? But it is happening. And these stereotypes that we've seen in our industry are evolving, but they're, still in most people's minds. And it really, I know from experiences that I've had where, you tend to be in a meeting, and at this point, most of the time, I have to say still, I am the only woman in either the physical room or the Zoom room. Men tend to talk over you. You have to be loud. You have to advocate for yourself. People tend to not take you as seriously, or they think that you're in a different position that's more fits your stereotype, like you're in, not a technology position or not in a construction position. Sometimes I've been in situations where they refuse to take my expertise or advice just because I'm a woman and they have their own ego to get through. You just have to keep forging forward and find advocates within your own organization that are going to help you out, whether that's another woman or another man. I mean, on my team, I know I have a lot of advocates that have helped me grow, helped me fight for new positions, or fight for salary increases, or fight to be heard in a meeting. And so as time changes and you have more people like Argelia, who is in this industry forging paths, it will adjust. The industry will begin to adjust as more women get into these positions. But for now, we just have to keep forging forward and finding those allies within our organizations.
Argelia, do you have a take on how we need to change?
Yes, and I can relate to that what Shir said, because sometimes I'm doing a training, let's say with my counterpart who is a man. We have the same level of expertise, but then again, when the questions come, they address him as opposed to me, right? Are they doing it on purpose? Who knows? But I've noticed that pattern. And also, when there's even chat messages and questions to a group of people, they tend to address or ask the man rather than the woman. And yeah, I've always been one of very few women in my group. At one point, I was the only one within my team. But to me, it didn't matter. I have a very supportive team, so that's really great. But I see it in the other people from outside, how they address you. Like you said, they might not take you serious. It goes back to when I would go to the construction site before I got into design technology. I would go to the construction site, and I would be there in the mornings. And then one of the contractors would come by and say, are you looking for someone? Or they think I'm there by mistake, but I say, no, I'm here with the architecture team. I'm the one in charge of the project. So then their face changes, right? Because they are not expecting me to say that. So it is an industry thing, and because the more they're exposed to it, and you have to just speak over people sometimes, because otherwise they won't let you talk. But
just got to be
just
loud.
Get comfortable.
Yeah,
it's hard, but start doing it.
And just finally to close, Aaron, how are you overcoming these stereotypes and changing?
Well, I think for me, change has got to start with me, right? I think, and that's one of the reasons, and I appreciate being invited onto this, is obviously probably odd to some that I'm on here speaking at a Women in BIM, but it's important to me. I think that And I forgive anybody if I use terminology or things, and that's part of what I've got to learn, right? I want the inclusion. I don't want to use terms that could be found offensive, and it's important that the first thing that, you know, to make change is to start with myself, listen to my employees, and understand. It's if I don't have an open door, it doesn't matter if your door is open if people don't feel like they can come in and talk to you. And so you've got to be able to, and I hear, you know, you both are saying of speaking up, but that also comes with individuals like me to be quiet, right? Know your employees, know what their strengths are, and allow them to be heard. And so, you know, as I start doing that, my other leadership will follow. And as the women that work here in their leadership roles, as they get more confident, that's not a problem. And we all recognize who that is, but we've got to do that in the industry. We've got to continue to have forums like this that bring this as important, and continue to address the battle but the uphill climb that we've got to get through. Right.
Yeah, we do. Thank you very much, all. So much great insight, conversation, content, and context. We're going to move into the Q&A. I'm just going to share my screen. We've got some great questions that I'm just going to chuck at you guys. So I should be sharing my Q&A slide. The first one is a question from Kelly from the attendees, and I'm glad we're having this conversation. But the audience here is 90% women. This isn't the audience that needs to hear the message. We already know what it's like. How are we going to change? How are we going to get the people that need to change the perspective to this conversation?
It's a great question.
It's a tough one to start with.
Because, yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like, most of the main audience that comes are women, because that's the people who are interested. And there's few, you know, as we expand, but it's also then our jobs, the people who are attending these sessions, to go back to our organizations and provide those resources, right? So share it with people, share it with your leaders, talk about it within your different organizations so that you can spread the message. The more people who are talking about it, and that's why I'm so passionate about talking about it and joining different discussions, whether it be on a panel or just, you know, with other people in the industry, is to bring awareness to other people so other women don't feel alone, and then other leadership so that they can begin to be allies and advocates as well.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. We've got one for Aaron directly. And how can we encourage more men to hear and action this drive? What would help?
Wow. How to change our way of thinking is my wife's been asking that for years. So, you know, I like I said before, for me, it has to come from the actions of the leaders that are above. I don't tolerate other leaders or other team members treating anybody any different. But I think it has to be talked about more. It has to be addressed. It has to be an actionable item. I mean, unfortunately, in the construction world, we are not quick to change. We don't adapt things very fast. We've been doing things the way we've been doing it forever, and we would be just happy continuing to do it that way unless we were forced to make change. And so, you know, we can talk about it or we can do something about it. How I get all of them to believe that way, you know, it's tough, but for me to answer that is, it has to start with me and those that are directly reporting around me, and push out as far as I can that wake to get that to be heard. Yeah.
Thank you. One for you, Argelia, because we have spoken a little bit about mentorship. What does it take to be a mentor or in the program to be included?
Oh, yes. To be part of the mentor, there is, if you're part of Women in BIM, so first of all, you have to be part of Women in BIM. They do send out an email, and then you fill out a series of questions to be able to match you. And the process is about a couple months long before you get paired with somebody. So it's not immediate because we do have to go through all of them, review them, match, make sure everything works. But it's pretty simple. You just questions they ask us about your interests, your area of expertise, your location. If you have a preference of mentoring somebody who is, nearby, far away, it's just a series of questions. But it's pretty straightforward and easy. Yeah, this one just happened in May, so the next one will probably be a few months out. I started around, I would say, March, and then in May is when they were paired up.
Perfect. Shir, we've got one directly for you. Brianna is curious to know what inspired you to go into a non-traditional role, such as product ownership, even though you've got an architecture background.
Yeah. So it wasn't really a huge decision as just the path that I took. I think that Argelia kind of mentioned this previously in the panel about like forging your own path. And I think within this industry and the fact that, technology is evolving so rapidly, a lot of these roles used to not exist, like innovation technology manager, VDC manager, chief technology officer, director of BIM. These are all fairly new roles. And women are spearheading a lot of them and are driving these new positions, and it's opened a lot of doors. I've always been interested in technology, and when I studied architecture, when I graduated, I was really off-put by the industry as a whole, being a little sexist, having this working really long hours and not getting paid very well, which didn't really align with like my life goals and what I wanted for myself. And so I kind of started shifting to technology more. And the more that I got involved with the different technology aspects, the deeper into that niche I just got, and I just like grabbed on and went along for the ride and just kept pushing myself to new roles and new things to learn. So, and I just dove in and tried not to be afraid. And I was definitely very scared, but somehow it worked out pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah, you forged away. I'm going to chuck this one to you, Aaron. And this is one from Jessica. And it's how do we engage with people who will not attend sessions like this? I.e. the people who don't have an inclination to change. Frankly, being loud doesn't solve all of our problems, especially when one has been shouting for over a decade or more of their career to be heard.
Make sure I understand that right. So how do we get this message to those that don't want to be?
Yes.
Okay.
So the people that are not in this session and more over probably the people that have no inclination to even change.
Yeah, and so I guess for me that alludes back to one, I'm glad this is being recorded, right? And it's going to be put out for other people to hear it. But it starts with stopping any of that happening within. For me, I can stop it within our own organization. It's not tolerated. It's zero tolerance for me of that. Any employees. It doesn't matter them treating anyone unfair, but we've got to make change here and get the message out. We got to keep talking about it. So we have morning huddles here in company, and so we talk about it here. Podcasts that we get on and bring that up and address that, we seem to talk about mental health and all kinds of things, but issues like this don't get addressed enough. So these forums need to continue to be talked about. They need to be brought out there. And then, we need to continue to have other people in leadership take the same stance. It's not a tolerance situation for that, and continue to advance those that have a high skilled regardless of sex in that, you know?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. We are getting very, very close to time, so I'm going to end the Q&A section. We will answer all the questions that have come in retrospectively. So don't worry if your question has not got through to the live panel. So I just want to launch a quick poll, just given everything that you have heard and seen us discuss. It's just a very simple, it's an open-ended one. What's the number one change you want to see in the BIM industry? So just to, just go as honest as you can and just tell us, what do you want to see? What needs to change within our industry? What's the number one thing? We will let this run for the next minute, and then we'll get to some closing, and then we can finish up the session. So we'll just let that run. There's some people still answering. While that session is, the poll question is going on, I just want to quickly go to each of you and ask you for one piece of advice you would give women and allies starting in the industry today. So if we can go to you, Shir, you're at the top of my screen, so I'll go to you first.
One piece of advice is embrace the fear and forge your own path. I mean, I can try to speak from example and say that I'm still doing that. I'm pushing the boundaries and trying to create new roles to grow into so that I can expand my skill set and my knowledge within this organization. So don't be afraid to go after the unknown and forge your own path.
Thank you. And to you, Aaron?
Yeah, it very similar to that is don't let people get in your way. No one has the right to tell you what your path is. I think, Shir, you made a really good point is you get in and you found niches, you found ways that your value gets hurt, right? When you're the expert on things, you have to be turned to, but don't let anybody get into your way, right? Don't wait for doors to be opened for you. Kick them open and go through them. And that goes for anything in our lives.
And Argelia?
Yes, I would say stay curious and search for solutions on your own before reaching out to somebody. It will give you a benefit. It's the best way to reach expertise and find something you're passionate about and shine at it. And don't let anyone dull your sparkle like everyone else said, okay? You don't let that happen. You know what you want. Don't let anyone kill that hope that you have.
Thank you, guys. Just a quick look closing slides from myself. For those of you not aware, Autodesk recently released our first annual 2023 State of Design and Make report. It's full of amazing and valuable data and expert insights on the most pressing drivers that are shaping our business decisions. In this report, you learn how global leaders are building resilience and preparing for an uncertain future. So please click your download, go and search for it, and it's full of amazing content. It wouldn't be anything else but Autodesk University season. So for over 3 decades now, Autodesk University has been at the heart of our design and make industries. It brings together innovators, architecture, engineering, construction, product design, manufacturing, media and entertainment to share ideas, advance the industries and explore opportunities. And it's the conference for anyone that makes to join, and Ryan Reynolds will also be there. I just want to go through some next steps. We are recording. We will share the recording out to all the attendees and all the registrants. We would love for you to stay connected, both with the Autodesk community, the Autodesk Research Community, and all the things that Argelia was talking about with women and men. Go and explore, find the resources, the training. I just want to say a very heartfelt thank you to all the amazing panelists that have come today, all the amazing attendees that have come. It's been amazing. I think I just want to I've been trying to write notes as I've been going through and trying to summarize 3 key takeaways. the first one was very early on, Shir, and you mentioned the picture. And I think one of the key things is we need to change the picture. We need to change that old school picture of all the construction men on that beam. That really resonated and stuck with me. So I think one of the things is that we need to change the picture. Another theme that ran throughout was mentorship and help. There is loads of mentorship. There's loads of help out there. People like you guys have forged the way already. So we just need to reach out and get that help and encourage. And then the other one is just invest in people and invest in employees. And I think by doing all three of them, if we can change, we can mentor, and we can invest, I think we're all on the right path. This is not the one-off event that we want to do. We want to continue this conversation. So that sort of hopefully has summarized my take. I guess some people may have different. We would love to hear your opinion. So please share, contact us, reach out. And thank you very much from everyone here at Autodesk, the research community, Women in BIM. And again, thank you very much to Shir, Aaron, and Argelia. And we'll catch you all again soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Very much, and we will end.
Thank you.